Today you're going to learn how to place text inside of this image. So we're going to keep the trees at the front and put the text just right in the middle of the fog and the trees. So this is actually really simple to do, and if you watch towards the end of the video, you're going to learn some really advanced techniques on how to change the colors backgrounds, how to add more fogs and more trees. So let's get started. So if you guys wanted to follow along with this tutorial, I'll leave a link to this image in the description below. So let's right click and copy this image, and I'm going to paste it into Photoshop by pressing Ctrl V or Command V if you're on a Mac. So let's rename this layer to original forest layer. So original forest, and if you guys don't see this layer panel, just go to Windows and click on layers right here. Next, let's click on the text tool right here. So click on that, and I'm going to click on the middle of the canvas, and in caps I'm just going to type in forest. So you can type in anything you want, and you can also type in any use any font that you want as well. I'm just using this font called Roboto right here. So there's plenty of other fonts in Photoshop that you can use. And I'm also going to make this a little bit bigger by pressing Ctrl T or Command T if you're on a Mac. And let's just make it take up the entire page, but not from edge to edge, just about here. And you're going to place it exactly where you want the text to be, just inside the forest. But you don't need to be perfectly accurate now, but I want it to be just somewhere around there. So next, I'm going to create a copy of the original forest layer. So to create an extra copy of it, just click and drag it into the new layer icon right here. So the new layer icon is just written right next to the bin icon. And then let's put the original forest copy layer above the text layer. And we're going to need two layers of this because we're going to use this tool called the threshold effect. So let's make another extra copy. So now we have 3 copies of the forest layer, and click on the layer right at the top and then go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. So what you're going to do now is crop out the front part of the forest. So the front part of the forest is the trees at the front. So the more you move this grass to the right, the more of the trees it selects. The more you move to the left, the less of the trees it selects. So you want to move it just right. So probably right about the middle is probably the right part, just those trees right in the front. So then click on OK. So now you have just the selections of the tree. So choose the magic wand tool, and you're going to click on a black part of this layer. So what the magic wand tool does is, so this is the magic wand tool right here. If you click and hold right here, there's 2 options, magic wand and quick selection tool. So choose the magic wand tool, and if you click on the black part of any layer, of a layer, sorry, not any layer. When you click on the black part of a layer, it just chooses everything else that's black within that layer. So make sure you have this turned off, so contagious, then it will choose everything that's black within this layer. Then what we're going to do is hide this layer right here, which is the black and white copy of the forest layer. And then we're going to go to the second copy of the forest layer. And what I'm going to do is click on this tool called the layer mask box. So that's just right here. It's like a little circle and a square icon. So click on that. So now what you can see is it's cropped out the trees right at the front. And now we can see what's behind it, which is the letter. So now we already have that effect of the letter behind the forest. Now we need to make the text more visible. So right now we can't really read it. So there's a few ways of doing this. We can add a shadow, and we can also slightly change the background color as well. So let's start with the shadow. So choose the forest text layer right here and go to layer and go down to layer style and then click on drop shadow. So that's going to give a shadow. So there's a few settings that you can play around with here, and you can make the shadow bigger, you can make it darker, and we're going to make it kind of fit in with the rest of the image. So right now it looks like a kind of a weird shadow that doesn't really blend in with the rest of the image. So the first option is blend mode. So I usually don't play with this. Most of these just look the same. I usually just leave it on multiply. That's this option right here. And the opacity, you can increase it so it's more visible, and you can decrease it so it's a slightly it actually looks like a shadow, so it's like a gray color. And you can also play with the angle right here. I usually just leave it at 90 degrees. For this one, I'm just going to leave it at 90 degrees. And you can also play with the distance. So how far down does the shadow go? So I'm going to make it go down pretty far. just about there. And you can also make it spread out pretty far as well. And you can also increase the size of the shadow as well. So let's decrease this just slightly, and also decrease the distance just slightly as well. So that looks good, and also decrease the opacity just slightly as well. So I want to decrease it quite a bit, but still make it kind of readable at the same time. So let's play with the distance just slightly. Cool, that looks good. And I'm going to hit OK on that. So let's just say you want to keep editing the shadow even more. You can just click on this shadow icon right here. So under the forest layer, there's 2 extra lines, and one of them is shadows. So you can just double click on that, and it just comes back, and you can just edit the same shadow again. So now let's change the background colors a little bit to make the text even more visible. So we're going to do this by downloading a brush. So I'll leave a link to this website in the description below. It's a website called brusheasy.com. So you need to make an account here, and you can download all of these Photoshop brushes for free. So you can get these kind of fog effects on Photoshop, and there's plenty of other different effects that you can get. So there's all of these cloud effects, there's all of these other different types of fog effects, smoke effects. So it's some really useful tools that you can use here. So I just downloaded this one here, so I'll leave a link to this in the description. So once you download it, just click on the paintbrush tool, and if you scroll all the way down, you'll see this new bunch of new tools right here called the fog brushes, or free fog Photoshop brushes. So click on one of those, and we're going to click on the original forest layer, and let's create a new layer, and I'm going to name this layer fog. So you need to make the brush small enough so that you can just see the fog right here. So that box is what the fog will look like. So I'm going to make the box just a bit bigger, just take up the entire screen. So that's where the fog will be, the new fog that we're kind of adding in. So let's click on the color picker tool, and I'm going to get a color from this side here because I want it to be consistent with this side here. So let's just pick a color, so it's like a slight yellowish color. So that's good. So let's take that, and then let's just paint right over it. So now you can see it's slightly changed now. So now you can actually lower the opacity a little bit because it's a bit too dark right now. Or you can even play around with the blend modes as well, like multiply and all of that as well. And let's click on another layer, and I'm going to name this fog as well. And this time I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So just about there. And let's pick a different fog layer now. And also I might make this, yeah, I think that's actually a good size, just about there. And let's just paint that over. So you can see that line there, so I don't want that line there. So what we can do is just take the eraser tool, and I'm just going to erase that part out. So we can just take the eraser tool and just erase that little parts out there. So now that looks much better. So now we can it actually looks like it's much more blended into the background now. So there you go. Now you have a really nice, cool looking effect. And if you still can't read the text, you can just kind of slightly move it upwards, or you can even make it a little bit smaller, so it actually fits in nicely with the rest of the background. And there you go. So that's how you place a text inside an image, or place text inside an image with Photoshop. So if you want me to make more videos like this, you can comment down below, or with any other video requests that you have. If you guys want me to make videos on Adobe Illustrator, After Effects, or Adobe Premiere, I can do that also. Just comment down below. And if you have any questions, you can ask me through email, or you can ask me in my Facebook group. But that's it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.